story here really will start when I was about 12 years old, and it begins with my granddad, who he wasn't a Christian and very rarely went to church. But one day, as he was just in his house in Weybridge, he had this thought, why don't I go in and have a look and see what's in there? And from this thought that came into his mind, he went into the church, and his life was completely transformed. He became a Christian, and as a result of that, there were many of our family members that also became Christians. They invited me to go to a Pentecostal church in Weybridge in Cornwall. This was about 20 miles from where I grew up and lived. And I remember, this thought of going to this church wasn't something that I was thinking was going to be the highlight of my week. And I reluctantly went along to this church, and my expectation was completely blown away. When I went into the church building, I could sense something completely different to what I was expecting. The people in the church were very friendly, they were very warm and very welcoming, and as soon as the service started, I was surprised about how enthusiastic and energetic the people were. An American man came over, and he preached about Jesus and how he could be your friend and your saviour. And it was on that evening, which was about 30 years ago, that I remember it was like God was speaking to me as an individual. It was a very personal experience. And at the end of the message, he called people to come forward to pray with him if they wanted to invite God into their lives. When he finished speaking, I think I was the first person down to the front of the church, and I prayed with him and invited God to come into my life. It was at that point when my life was revolutionized. I was completely changed, and my whole mindset, my sort of attitude towards life was completely changed. And really from that moment on, my life has been completely different. Some people will say, well, Christianity is just some sort of emotional experience. Well, here I am talking to you, and this is about 30 years later, and I'm still passionate about the things of God and serving God and getting to know Him more and more in my life. Despite becoming a Christian when I was around about 12, for me, my teenage years it was a very difficult time for me, really. I felt a constant sort of pull in two directions. It was like half of me wanted to follow God and serve God and live for Him. And then there was another half of me that was kind of just being pulled into just doing things that is typical of what most teenagers do. My life some of the time would be revolving around what party was on at the weekend, and we would end up drinking quite a lot. And I found this quite a challenging period of time. In fact, it was quite a lonely experience for me, although there were very good experiences of God mixed in with all of this. And I think during this window of time, that was probably about 5 years, it really is a story about the grace of God that was upon me. When I finished my A-levels, I decided to go away for a year on an evangelistic course where it travelled around the United Kingdom into various cities and environments, talking to people about God and Jesus and how He could make a difference. And it was during this period of time where it really made me focus myself and get more serious about God. I met a lot of people who I could see their lives had been really messed up significantly by drink, drugs, depression, all sorts of problems. And I would talk to them about the good news of Jesus. And it was during this time that God really put His hand upon me and told me, Neil, you need to sort yourself out, you need to really focus. And it was during that 12 months that I think it laid a platform for the rest of my life. Christianity isn't just something about something that we get when we die and we go to heaven. But this is something which God gives us to here now, on earth now. And God has given me a confidence now at this stage to trust him to see what he's going to do. And I think it's a wonderful thing to know that peace and the presence of God, and it really is a privilege getting to know him more and more and just serving him on a daily basis.